This is News 10 at 5:30. Live with Elisa Streeter and Chief Meteorologist Steve Caporizzo.
We report to you.
These pets were found in a pit of carcasses while their owners thought they were properly disposed of. And now the man responsible is going to jail. Good evening, everyone. I'm Elisa Streeter. A judge has sentenced Terrence McGlashan after he pleaded guilty to defrauding his clients. He admitted to dumping thousands of pet carcasses on a Saratoga farm for the past 6 years. He will spend the next 6 months in jail, then 5 years probation. And he's also required to donate $25,000 to animal shelters in the capital region. Sarah Welch reports to you from Saratoga County.
Terrence McGlashan drove away without ever apologizing to the pet owners he ripped off.
I wasn't surprised that he couldn't. He couldn't make eye contact. He couldn't look at anybody.
McGlashan pleaded guilty to defrauding his customers and admitted he illegally dumped pet carcasses in open pits on a farm in Saratoga County.
I don't think he ever thought he'd get picked up on it at all. I thought he'd get away with it.
I am feeling some resolution, some. Again, I still don't know where Heidi is. I have no idea where our dog is, whether she's in that pit or what.
That's because McGlashan also performed mass cremations on animals like Heidi, Casper, and Sinbad when their pet owners paid for private burials.
I mean, we even had things like a parrot come in that had the teeth of dogs.
McGlashan pleaded guilty to a felony, but Assistant Attorney General Rocky Piajon never imagined he'd get jail time. Piajon says two factors led to the agreement.
That the pet owners did write to the probation department and tell them how they felt about what had occurred. And also, I think a lot of credit goes to the judge who followed that recommendation and determined that he should go to jail.
Pet owners agree the state needs new laws to prevent future abuse like this, and they're hoping lawmakers propose legislation.
Unless we get something in place and some inspections by somebody who knows what's going on, we can expect that this might happen again.
These pet owners say it's a much too painful experience for anyone to go through.
I hope people can start to heal a little bit.
For now, all they have are the memories of the pets they loved and lost. Reporting to you from Saratoga County, Sarah Welch, News 10.
McGlashan will report to jail next Monday. Pet owners are also pursuing a civil suit against him. Well, some good for people in Schenectady. They have just received a grant to clean up contamination at one of the most visible pieces of property in the city. Mayor Al Jasinski made the announcement today at the former Ladd's gas station on Erie Boulevard. The $34,000 grant is being funded by the state's Clean Water, Clean Air Bond Act. It will be used to investigate petroleum leakage in the soil and groundwater at Ladd's, which was used as a gas station from the 1950s through the 70s.
We want to have some green space and parking here, and it'll be very positive. And yeah, it's just one step in reclaiming other brownfield properties throughout the city.
The grant is part of the Brownfields program of the Bond Act, which helps clean up contamination in abandoned commercial areas throughout the state. As President Clinton puts his finishing touches on his State of the Union address, his wife is continuing the offensive to clear his name. The president most likely will not talk about the White House scandal in his address tonight, but the First Lady did talk this morning on the Today Show.
I do believe that this is a battle. I mean, look at the very people who are involved in this. They have popped up in other settings. This is the great story here for anybody willing to find it and write about it and explain it, is this vast right-wing conspiracy that has been conspiring against my husband since the day he announced for president. Bill and I have been accused of everything, including murder, by some of the very same people who are behind these allegations.
And we want to let you know that tomorrow the First Lady will be on Good Morning America with ABC's Lisa McCree. JCPenney is closing stores and slashing jobs. The chain will shut the doors of 75 stores and cut up to 4,900 jobs. Most of the jobs will take place at the management level. The company released only the first of 6 closures. Only one of them is in New York State, in Babylon on Long Island. Penney's officials say they will announce other store closings in the coming year. While the lights are coming back on in the North Country, residents still need help. The American Red Cross of northeastern New York has been helping thousands of stranded residents. Today, the Red Cross received a $25,000 donation from two companies, Value Behavioral Health and Value RX.
All of those people who turn to the Red Cross for help all depends on public contributions. And your gifts as corporations and as individuals to the Red Cross really do make a difference. They work miracles here in our community every day of the year, not just in times of disaster, but especially in times of disaster. And so these gifts are extremely important to the people who live here in northeastern New York.
The relief effort has cost the Red Cross of northeastern New York $2 million so far. And now we're going to see relief from these frigid temperatures.
Yeah, it can't get much colder than it was this morning.
No.
Boy, was that something? By the way, I get a lot of phone calls. People want to help out the animals of the North Country that were affected by the ice storm. All you got to do is, I've been giving the address out on Pet Connection. If you've missed it, call 436-1010, press option number 3. That's the Pet Connection hotline. The address is on the recording for you. Speaking of the cold, this will make us feel warmer for those of us that live down here in the Capital District. Because look what happened up north. These are the coldest official low temperatures we could find this morning. The coldest in New York State, Saranac Lake at -25. In the small town of Canaan, Vermont, in the Northeast Kingdom, 30 below. So our 4 above zero feels pretty warm, doesn't it?
It looks good.
It does. Cloudy, 23 right now. Humidity, 50% with a north wind at 3 miles per hour. The barometer's high, 30.42 inches. The high today, 23, low at 4. Normally 30 and 10, so it was a below normal day. Daylight, 9 hours and 48 minutes. This evening's forecast, mostly cloudy, chance of some snow flurries up in the Adirondacks, and temperatures warmer than last night in the teens to near 20. We'll have the complete forecast and much more, including some interesting pet stuff for you in about 15 minutes or so don't go away.
All right. And don't go away, because there is also much more for you as far as the news goes on News 10 at 5:30. Coming up, Miss America comes to town. We'll tell you what she's got on her mind. Plus a new study about pregnant women and caffeine. And if you've got the winter blues, it may be a real medical problem. Plus the real Titanic had more than just a screw loose.
You're watching the Capital Region's #1 early evening news. News 10 at 5:30 will continue. News 10 Health Team Report is brought to you by Health Now Flex from Blue Shield of Northeastern New York.
Miss America is on a mission, and it brought her to the Capital Region today. 20-year-old Kate Schindel travels 20,000 miles a month using her Miss America platform to talk about AIDS prevention. Today, her travels brought her to the state legislature, Palace Theater, and the College of St. Rose. There, she told students they must take responsibility for their life.
If you don't have sex and if you don't use drugs, you will probably never have to worry about contracting HIV. It is widely documented that abstinence is the most effective way.
Ms. Schindel talked about the staggering rise in AIDS diagnosis in northeastern New York because there is no cure. The best way to combat this epidemic, she says, is through prevention. And if abstinence isn't for you, then Miss America advocates making condoms widely available. Researchers say caffeine consumption by pregnant women could lead to a higher risk of sudden infant death syndrome. The study suggests high levels of caffeine alter a fetus's respiratory system. It says if a woman drinks 4 or more cups of coffee a day, the chances for SIDS are doubled. Well, for many people, winter can mean the blues. But what they may be suffering from is actually a form of depression, and Sue Nigra joins us with more on this.
This is very interesting. I mean, we were talking about this. You might have heard about seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD. But at the News 10 Health Team Report, one group of researchers says there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Since college, Mark Ernst says he's been suffering from winter depression. He dreaded the onset of the winter season and had a hard time coping.
I was just really down and really depressed, sleeping 12 hours a day, and nothing really was feeling good, tasting good, anything like that.
Until he found a way to get a little bit of summer into his daily routine, with the help from researchers at a Chicago hospital.
There's a clear reason to use light, to trick your body into thinking that it's summer.
How do you trick the body into thinking it's summer? With one of these, a simple light box that emits an intense cool light that simulates the light you get during the summer. Throughout his study, Mark and other patients sat in front of these light boxes for set periods of time each day. Dr. Patricia Meaden monitored their symptoms.
Unusual feelings of guilt or self-reproach, social withdrawal, difficulty concentrating.
Researchers don't know exactly how light therapy works, but just after a few weeks of the study, results were promising.
It would go from being very lethargic, their speech would be very slow, they would sometimes be extremely tearful, cry at the drop of anything. By the end of the study, these same people would often be laughing, joking around.
As for Mark Ernst, light therapy has enabled him to manage the winter.
I feel better. I'm enjoying the day.
If you think you suffer from seasonal affective disorder, you should get a professional to diagnose the problem before trying to treat it yourself, because your symptoms may be the result of other illnesses which may need special medical attention.
Now, you're going to have more on this tonight at 11.
Well, more about depression tonight, because depression after a heart attack or a heart surgery is quite common. Now, a new study indicates that some drugs used to treat depression may also be hazardous to your heart.
Oh.
And we'll take a look at that tonight at News 10 at 11.
So it's your heart or depression? What a choice. All right, thanks a lot, Sue.
Okay.
And stay with us when we get back. Murph blows the whistle on a referee who went out of bounds, plus a nightmare ride for morning commuters after an abrupt stop. And now let's see how the evening commute is going. Here's Ron Allen in the News 10 Traffic Center. Ron?
Thank you, Lisa. Not a bad ride in progress. Just a pair of disabled vehicles being cleared right now on 787, one northbound near Manans Route 32, the other southbound just past Manans Route 32. Albany, a medical emergency at roadside being cleared up Madison Avenue at New Scotland Avenue, and in Warren County in the town of Hadley, fire department activity for a structure fire on Stony Creek Road near North Shore Road. For News 10 Traffic, I'm Ron Allen.
Thank you, Ron. A terrifying ride for New York commuters this morning. In the middle of rush hour, a crane hit the tram that carries commuters between Manhattan and Roosevelt Island in the East River. 20 passengers were on board. The construction crane was carrying a piece of heavy equipment onto the Queensboro Bridge for repairs when it hit. 11 people were hurt. Look at that video. The sinking of the Titanic may not have been caused by the iceberg after all. In fact, the great ship may have been done in by its smallest parts. The New York Times says researchers have examined 2 rivets salvaged from the Titanic and found large amounts of slag, a byproduct of smelting iron, which would have made them brittle. But they caution that more rivets should be examined to confirm their findings. 3 million rivets held the Titanic together. Can you imagine?
I think we need a new movie.
Yeah, that's right. Let's look all about the rivets.
Smelting. I always worry about smelting.
And slag, yeah.
That's a key issue.
Had to look that one up. All right, Murph joins us now.
We're going to talk about an NBA referee and an NBA commissioner, David Stern, who I praised for years as being the best of the bunch. He took a league a few years ago that nobody cared about and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar international enterprise. Plus, he and his office have built a reputation of ruling with the iron fists in an ongoing effort to control the monster that they have now created. And that's why I'm hoping that there's just simply an aberration here, a stub of the toe, as it were. Back on January 16th, in a game between Washington and Vancouver, referee Joe Borgia made a bad call. It happens, but never like this. Borgia blows his whistle on this play and calls a foul on Washington's Calbert Chaney, right there highlighted, when it is clearly teammate Chris Webber who commits the foul. Now, that was a pretty good break for the Wizards, since if the foul had been called on Webber, their best player, he would have fouled out of the game. Well, guess what? This was no honest mistake. Borgia knew exactly what he was doing. In fact, he told Chaney that he was giving him the foul because he didn't want Webber to foul out of the game. A referee, supposedly the impartial arbiter of the game, intentionally giving one player an advantage. Now, this may have happened before, but this is the first time I've ever heard an official admit to it. Chaney immediately reported the incident to his coach, who later contacted the league office. Now, unfortunately, David Stern has simply slapped Borgia on the wrist, handing down a reprimand and a fine. And they've also done a nice job, I think, of keeping this whole incident rather quiet. Now, here is hoping that behind the scenes, the league office is contacting each and every official and reminding them that their job is not to decide who plays and who doesn't, but simply to enforce the rules. With all the other things we have to worry about in the sports world these days, the last thing we need are crooked referees. That's Murphy's Law.
And if you'd like to respond, here's the address: WTEN TV 10, 341 Northern Boulevard, Albany, New York, 12204. Contact Dan online, dan@news10.com, or on the phone, 1-800-888-WTEN. You wonder how prevalent it must be if he felt comfortable enough just to admit that's what he did.
And the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say, Webber stayed in, rallied his team from a 10-point deficit. Washington ended up winning the game.
Whoa.
Very shady.
Ew. Wonder how much money that one passed hands. Don't go away. When we get back, Steve has the full forecast. Plus, if you couldn't stay awake for the American Music Awards, we got the big winners.
Stories, tips, investigations. You've got the ideas. We've got the reporters. Call the News 10 hotline, 462-WTEN, and call us for free from your cell phone. Press pound 10 if you're a Bell Atlantic NYNEX customer. Press star 10 if you're with Cellular One. News 10 at 5:30 continues in a moment. But first, what's coming up all new at 6 o'clock?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Brennan. President Clinton delivers his State of the Union tonight beneath the cloud of Monica Lewinsky. At the top of the hour, we'll look at some of the things to look for in how he handles things tonight. Also,
if you're an aggressive driver, if your road habits are a danger to others on the road, you could wind up with some very serious prison time. I'm John McLaughlin. I'll explain why.
There's a very unusual new resident here at this Whitehall dairy farm. What do I mean by that? This is Alexandra Lee, and I'll have the details for you coming up.
Tracy Egan has a report from London on the New York State Theater Institute. And Fred LeBrun with One Man's Opinion, all coming up, all new at 6 o'clock.
Now, Chief Meteorologist Steve Caporizzo with your exclusive Doppler weather forecast.
Well, we're just talking about the American Music Awards, but we'll turn to weather right now.
Yeah, we'll talk about the weather. And, you know, we love Pet Connection, and I get a lot of great mail from a lot of you that drop me lines and pictures of your pets. But this is a special picture that I want to share with you. Two dogs. These dogs come from Greene County. Tippy on the left, Sunny on the right, golden retrievers. And they rescued their owners, Rich and Vicky Britton from Palinville. What happened was, it was on New Year's Day. They fell asleep, and it was late at night, and there was a fire in the home. They didn't hear the smoke detectors. These two dogs not only barked to get their owners up, they grabbed them, shook them, dragged them out of bed, and they rescued their owners from probably death, because it was quite a fire. I want to thank Fire Chief, what's his name?
From Palinville.
Yeah, the Fire Chief from Palinville, Jim Michaelis, for sending me those pictures. Thank you very much. Also want to thank Peg Kimrick from Valatia. She came across this great Ernest Hemingway sweatshirt, a cat fishing for sailfish. Isn't that great?
Oh, that is.
She knows I love cats and knows I love fishing, and I appreciate it so very much. All right, time for the weather tonight, and here's what's going on. We're still watching that ocean storm system to the south and east of us, and it's going to be a closer call than it looked like yesterday. Even though I did not think it would hit us, it looks like it'll be more of a hit for New York City, the Jersey coast, up to Cape Cod, and the islands. This is going to be a monster. You know, we've seen a lot of these storms just miss us. Imagine if we get hit by them. I mean, we would have feet of snow. That's how big these storms are. But once again, it's just going to move off to the east-northeast, a couple hundred miles south of the Cape. This is the weather system back in here that will be affecting us, it looks like, later Thursday into Friday. Tremendous amount of wet weather on the coast, thunderstorms, heavy snow in parts of the mountains of West Virginia, and North Carolina. You can see all that activity moving north. It looks kind of dangerous, doesn't it? It's going to get close to us, but again, mainly south and east, and some flurries moving across parts of northern New York as we speak. Nothing unreasonable for this time of year temperature-wise. These are current readings. Dallas 63, Denver 56. That's pretty warm for them. And in Los Angeles, a dry day at 61 degrees. So here's that storm system. Close call. Clouds here. Windy on the coast, winds gusting to 40 miles per hour, and rain, a windswept rain. In fact, it could be a little wet snow south of Boston over towards Providence, Rhode Island. And then Thursday will be kind of in between systems. We'll have a series of cold fronts moving in from the west. Late Thursday, a little bit of rain or snow, a better chance of some light snow on Friday. Not a big storm, but hey, maybe some light accumulations. Mostly cloudy, flurries north this evening, teens to near 20. Cloudy tonight, scattered flurries, 12 to 18. No big deal. Tomorrow morning, clouds and a few leftover flurries and some afternoon sun, 31 to 36. And here's your 5-day forecast. Clouding up Thursday, rain or snow showers late in the day. And Friday, as the cold air comes in, some light snow or snow showers. Could be a couple of inches, 32. Right now, it looks like dry and colder weather moving in for the start of the weekend, 29 on Saturday. That's it tonight.
All right. Well, we want to talk about the music industry gathered last night in Hollywood for the 25th Annual Music Awards. Those are the night's big winners, the Spice Girls. They won 3 awards, Favorite Band, New Artist, and Album in the pop rock category. Reba McEntire for Favorite Country Female Artist. Nancy Sinatra accepted an award for her father, Frank. He was given the Award of Merit. And some of the losers, Puff Daddy and the Wallflowers, went in with high hopes, and they came out with empty hands. And that does it for us now. Stay with us for News 10 at 6 o'clock. I'll be joining Jim Brennan. Right now, here he is with the top story. Jim.
The speaker has important things to say. The audience only wants to hear what he will not say.